Correct, चल. अभी और कौन बचा है? The whole Mysore team.
So they were supposed to join.
You don't have to call them. Don't keep calling them. You have told them, right?
Yes.
They're aware.
That's
That's it.
supposed to join a little later after the organization. But the organization they were supposed
आपने बताया था ना कि फर्स्ट आपने उनको ज्वाइन नहीं करना था, सेकंड कुछ बाद में ज्वाइन करना था.
नहीं.
हाँ?
नहीं. उनको तो साथ में ही रहना है. आपको तो सबको ही देना है ना प्रेजेंटेशन.
या आपका बात तो हुई थी उसमें. आपने तो मेल भेजा था सबको ना शायद.
ऑन कर दिया है ना.
then they were supposed to join.
So are you full house here or waiting for somebody?
No.
Okay, so get started. So good morning all of you. The idea of today's meeting is to, the motto is goals and alignment, right? So the idea is that in about a week's time from now, we are all going to enter into a new year, financial year. And with that new financial year, new responsibilities, new goals, new style of working, a lot of things start off. That year is going to be different from what it has been all this while. And it's going to throw us different challenges, different opportunities, and lots of this.
Are they able to hear you?
They should be. Keep your chat on, Amita, right? Keep the chat window on so that in case people can't hear, they can type it there, right? So while we get into the new year, it's important for all of us to start thinking about things in the same way so that we can actually optimize on the opportunity. Around the world today, there is a diminishing return on physical capital. Today, a farmer, for example, works very, very hard in the farm, still gets paid 300 rupees a day. Right? You and I have never worked that hard, nor will we ever do that, but still get paid much, much higher. It only goes on to prove the fact that as we go forward, intellectual capital is being valued much more than physical capital. Right? So when I look at any company, so there are various types of capital on which a company is ultimately based on. Right? Companies, for them to perform, they need physical capital. This is land, machinery, factories, all of these. It needs financial capital. Right? It needs human capital. It needs now social capital. The most important, it needs and it has intangible capital, also called the intellectual capital. What are all of these? Today, all of us are aware that Walmart, with its $300 billion of physical assets, is valued much lesser than Amazon, which has 1/10 of its, the value of physical assets of Amazon is less than $30 billion, whereas that of Walmart is $300 billion. But still, Amazon is trading at 999 times of P. Walmart is one fraction of that, which evidently goes on to the fact to state the fact that it's no more physical capital only which is going to be most critical. It's something else beyond this. Okay? So we need to be aware of this. That's the way the world is moving. Financial capital. It's about the money power, muscle power, money muscle, right? Increasingly, if you look at most of the evolving technology companies which are coming up, most of the businesses which are coming up, the trend which is coming up in the market today, the world is moving on from being very, very capital heavy, financial capital heavy, to moving up to a concept of capitalism without capital. How do you build great companies without gorging a lot of amount of money? That's where the world is moving towards. And all of us are aware that more and more startups are finding it very, very, very difficult to raise funds unless you can generate revenue, generate profits. People are moving on from a hugely capital intensive business to businesses which are more frugal in terms of utilization of capital. Human capital, this is the stuff which is about our teams. Good companies would need good teams to run them. But then, the construct of these teams, the architecture of these teams, the characteristic features of these teams are also changing day by day. It's a known fact today that human capital has to either keep going forward or keep going upwards. Otherwise, if you don't do either of them, it's definitely going downwards. So human capital has started being treated as a depreciating asset. It says that either you're moving forward or you're moving upwards, otherwise you will definitely move downwards. Today, people are not interested in hearing that I have 2 decades of experience, 3 decades of experience. That's not important anymore. Because what you did 2 decades back is not what you're doing today. Today's circumstances, today's challenges, today's environment, today's competition is very different from what all of us handled all this while. So unless you can renew your knowledge, renew your information, understand, you keep on learning new things, your value of the knowledge that you already have inside you is going to depreciate over time. And you yourself as an asset will start depreciating your value if you don't learn new things anymore. So this is a big challenge which is coming on to teams. Right? Lots of case in point today. Look at Nokia. What happened to them? Once upon, the people who are not changing, not learning new things are definitely going down. Correct? So that's where it is working. Look at the valuation of GE. 1 year back, GE was valued at close to $300 billion. Today, it's less than 1/10 of its value. Very, very high on physical capital, no money constraints. But the only difference is that people did not change. Their mindsets are not changing. If you're not changing, if you're not going forward, if you're not going upwards, you are definitely going down. So something which you need to be very, very clear, and this is important for all of us in your mindset, right? Yes. So if the value of your team members, if they say that I have 15 years of experience, has got very little value in times to come, and it's going to definitely have little value if your guys are not learning new things. And not only you, but it's applicable to all of us. If we don't learn new things in marketing, we don't learn new things in content or in HR, the way sales is done, for example, the way, challenges are very different in this world. If you're not going to learn, your value is going to depreciate over time. So, gone will be the days when somebody says that I have 12 years of experience, so I should get more salary, rather than somebody who has got 5 years of experience. So years of experience is going to be carrying a very little premium over the amount of knowledge, amount of capability or competence that you have. This is something which is changing across the world. Some of these, most of us were aware of. But things which are evolving in times to come now is social capital. Social capital is about being able to work as teams. And that is becoming a differentiating factor for very, very large companies today. All of us are aware that great companies have rarely been built by great teams. It has been built by average people working at their peaks. All great companies have been built like that. Average people working at their peaks, working as teams. And this is something which is going to become differentiator for companies of tomorrow. How do you build culture in your organization? Culture of performance, culture of accountability, culture of productivity. And these things are something which are going to define how great companies and how ordinary companies will get differentiated. So we'll have to bring in a culture where people are willing to look at growth. People are willing to take risks and take decisions. People are willing to talk to each other and solve their own problems rather than coming to me all the time. Right? So if there's an issue in accounts or in content, in learning success, whichever there, people should be able to talk to each other, solve their own problems. There's nobody who is going to solve your problems anymore. Right? You as your own mature individuals have to figure out how we build this social fabric in the organization, which is going to be very, very critical if you have to grow fast and if you have to grow quickly and grab this opportunity which is there. And comes your intangible capital. All of these things which are not in physical form. Things like your brand. Things like data, platforms. All of these are becoming all the more important in today's world. Right? So what is WhatsApp, for example? Except for a platform. Nothing else. Right? So what is the strength of a company like Flipkart? It's not difficult to make one more shopping cart. Right? Each one of us can make a shopping cart next day if you need it. But what stands here unique is the platform, the data, the brand that they have built up. And this is going to become very, very critical in times to come. And all of us will have to keep thinking and keep investing in us to build our School Guru as a brand. And how do people build brands? How do people build brands is by able to stand by the values that you all have created. All of us are going to spend time in creating, in working in some aspect of being able to create our brands. Right? We are a B2B business company. We are slowly building our B2C strategies also. Our ELSP success, ELSP is also actually a B2C strategy. Right? So when you do things like that, your stuff like PR is going to become very, very important. PR is nothing but your ability to generate content. People being able to write stories. Right? All of us understand that companies are nothing but ultimately narratives or stories. How interestingly can you tell your stories to the world and actually values your company here today? Today, if you look at when School Guru was valued, when you reach your valuation today, what are the parameters on which you are getting valued? Right? What are the parameters? Just can you have some ideas on this? What are the parameters on which School Guru gets valued? Fareed?
The parameters.
The revenue?
Okay, your revenue. So our revenue was hugely negative and we never met our projections. So this is definitely a minus in the valuation overall.
Content.
Your content. Today content is actually so much available across the world today that people are rarely willing to give you premium because of the content that you have. They are not. They are not willing to.
The brand.
Okay, so brand. So for whatever it stands for, your reputation. Right? What else? Growth potential. Growth potential. Yeah.
No competition.
Your competitive advantage.
Pranjal is saying it's business funnel.
Technology platform.
Your funnel, which is ultimately talks about your growth potential. Your platform. Yeah. So things like this, if you look at it, all these things that we're talking about are all in the realm of intangible capital. We don't own a single inch of land, nor a single building, right? But the valuation, whatever you receive today, and most probably all of these that we're going to receive in future, are all a factor of the intangible capital.
Knowledge doesn't come here. But knowledge can also be an intangible factor.
Yeah, but I don't know whether you can quantify that. And knowledge of domain, which stands to your competitive advantage, though, right? Yes, all of these put together today are stuff on which companies are getting value, and hence it's important for all of us to keep investing ourselves in this particular. This session that we are having today, let's keep it more interactive so that we can discuss, we can think, we can debate, and come out with something which reverberates with all of us, right? So let's not sit there with strong and silent types. Please keep talking, right?
Experienced team from different fields.
Yes, experienced teams. Yes, that makes sense. And all of these that we're talking about, if you realize, are all in the realm of intangible capital. And this is the way the world is viewing physical capital, financial capital, human capital, social capital, and intangible capital today. And that's the way companies are getting valued. Companies who are making huge losses even today, have very little money in bank, still gets valued at multi-billion dollars today. And people are willing to put billions of dollars today in that company who have built significant amount of intangible capital. And that's where the world is moving towards. We need to just be aware of it as we build School Guru in the next few years. So when you go ahead building a company, there are various constituents of building an organization, right? When you start a company, you have a mission in mind. I'm not talking about the mission statement which is hung in a lot of office walls, but the purpose with which you are actually starting an organization. From your mission follows your values, on which this company will get built. Based on this, you will form your goals. Based on your goals, you will build your strategies. You will build structures based on your strategies. You will build teams based on the structures that you create. And from there on, we'll move on to various stuff like performance management, your team structuring, all of these, productivity and stuff like that. So if you look at this particular structure now, values are downstream from mission. Strategies are downstream from goals. You first need to fix your goals and then you can fix your strategies. You can't fix your strategies first and goals later. Right? And based on your strategies, you'll fill your structures. What type of structuring that you need in the organization. And based on what type of structure you need, you'll start creating your teams. So these are all, as you move downwards, you are actually flowing down, right? You need to be clear about this particular structure that I'm talking about. And when you're setting this up, when you set goals, for example, there are various ways you can set your goals. And this is important in today's context of discussion. As we are ending this current financial year, we would be close to about 4 crores in revenue. And all of us are aware that in the next year, our target is close to about 20 crores of revenue. Two ways of looking at it. One is goals are set based two ways. One is based on where we are, and second is based on where I can be. Right? Both the ways you can set goals. So today your 4 crores, you say 10% growth, 4.5, 20% growth, 5 crores. That's it. And second way of looking at goals is where the opportunity is. What the market circumstances are, what is my competitive position, what my strength, all of this put together, where I can be, and which is it's a no-brainer about which is a better strategy to put it. How do you want to set goals? Based on where we are today or based on where we can be? Right? So today, when we did 4 crores and when we're looking at 20 crores, if you look at, it's not the same circumstances in which we did 4 crores. It's not going to be the same circumstance when we do 20 crores. If you look at both of us today, when we did this 4 crores in the current financial year, there are so many things which are different from how it's going to work in the next particular financial year. For example, look at financial capital. Last year we did not have financial capital. We did not have money. We had salary cuts, in fact. We are not hiring. So we worked in a very different circumstances in the last year. Right? If you look at human capital, last year we were not full house in terms of our team. Udit was not there in sales. I was managing sales somehow. Madhukar was not here. Team was very, very different last year. than it's going to be in the next year. If you look at regulatory scenario, it's going to be very different next year than it's going to be it was last year. Last year there was no clarity in terms of how the government is going to drive higher education in this country. And next year, when we go into the next year, the entire regulatory environment actually is to our favor. And all the strength that we have built for ourselves is actually going to get utilized. If you look at in terms of opportunity, we hold an extremely high competitive advantage. There is no competitor of ours today who can claim about the intangible capital that you have. Nobody talks about the platform that you have. Nobody talks about your 20 universities that have signed up with you. Nobody talks about the number of students that you service today. Nobody talks about your multilingual capability or type of content that you have today and your confidence in the fact that I can get a university live in the next 7 days' time. Right? So all of this together is going to play to our advantage next year. Till about last year, Vipendra knows that for every single sale that we did, we were fighting against the tide. There was always somebody coming back on us saying that, oh, wait for some time, let's regulation be clear. And today, every day, if you look at the tender pages, every single day, I'm seeing a new tender asking for either all of the services that we offer or some of the services that we offer. So people are asking for that type of service. People are more willing to hear your story. People are willing to hear your narrative. People are willing to hear your credibility. And if you're being able to talk about your narrative well, people are willing to buy into it. Right? And Manish talks about it very, very well. He says that, how do you build stories? Stories are something like recipes, not a list of ingredients. It's not about what are the things that we have in our menu list. It's about recipes are different from list of ingredients because recipes talks about kaun sa saman kitna dalna hai, kab dalna hai, the nazakat of it, right? That's the way the great dishes are made. And so our narrative has to be talked well. And each one of us will have to talk about this narrative to the client, to the customer, to the market in our own particular way. Right? How we'll build this intangible capital well, our brand, when all of us talk the same story. When we keep on talking the same story again and again and again and again and again, that's the time people get that in their head. About how School Guru stands for engaging, purposeful and employable education. What type of difference are we creating in terms of improving the quality of higher education and in terms of making our students more employable, getting them closer to the job. That's definitely an impact statement, and that's something that we have to keep on talking in various things that we do all the time. Right? When we talk about this, that's the way the brand will get created, that's the way people will start listening to us. We have started working with our agency. As of now, I'm the only person writing articles. Kavita and Yash, they have both volunteered. They've started writing their first articles. But my expectation would be that all of you who have got experience, I think must jump into this aspect and start writing articles and contributing to content. And trust me, writing content is not easy. It's not about all the things that you know. You will have to read a lot. Read a lot. That's the only way you will be able to improve your understanding of subject, understanding of how the world is moving, how competition is behaving, what is happening in the US versus what is happening in China. And that's the way you'll be able to bring a perspective when you write an article. And that's the way you'll be able to create your own brand as a person. Right? And in organizations, all of us are aware about hard power versus soft power. Hard power versus soft power. Hard power, where I force something on you. And soft power is when people respect you for what you are and are willing to listen to you. Right? So how do you build soft power? There are various ways. You build your credibility, your soft power. Where when you talk about, one of the ways is to generate a lot of content. I think it's important for most of you who are willing to look at your own growth as a person, right, to build your soft power. And that will come when you read a lot and you do a lot of research before you start writing an article. Writing your article will need to ensure that you understand the subject well, you understand the history of the subject well, you understand, you are being able to make a strong statement, have got a very strong opinion about a particular stuff. You understand how to write English, how sentences are formed, how to write English in a simple way where people can understand what you're saying, not to use two words when one can do. All of these things are critical when you write a good article. And that's the way people will be willing to take your article and print it where it needs to go to. Right? And my request to all of you who are looking at building yourself up and building your own brand and soft power, to come forward and start contributing there. Right? So at Marketing, Kavita has taken an initiative where she's making a bank of articles. So if some of you want to take a first attempt, let's contribute there. Let's come back to her. We'll make a bank of articles on which we can write. And articles could be on various aspects, could be on technology trends, for example, in terms of productivity trends, in terms of employment trends, in terms of what the competition is doing on one single aspect or some of these put together. And if you have a strong opinion on these, we'll have to do research, think about it, sit down together, write up, and we can all work together to ensure that it gets finalized and ultimately goes to the press. Right? So, we're talking about our goals. Which is a better strategy? To set a goal which from where we are or where we can be. Shari, what do you think about it?
Goal means it should be a definite goal where in terms of means the acquisition and the number, the services, that should have a definite goal.
I've got a specific question to ask. My question is, hear me out properly. Goals are set by two different ways. One is from where you are or where you can be. Right? One way of people setting goals is that last 3 years we have done this, this and this. So next year we'll do this. Second way, saying that I've done this and this. I couldn't do this because of somebody was holding my leg by my chain. They put it up. Now the chain is no more there, so I can actually make that high jump and go here. Two ways. Which, in your opinion, is a better strategy?
The second.
Second one, where you can be, where the market is. Okay. Anybody who has a different opinion on this? Anybody on the video? If you have a different opinion, please put it on the chat. We'll get your microphone unmuted. Keep your chat on. Keep the chat window on so that we can keep here. Yes. Amita, just keep looking at the chat also at times. So if people want to have a good opinion. Do all of you believe that where you can be is a better way of doing things? And if you look at that now, you'll figure out that when we are going into the new financial year, we do not have some of these cycles which are there holding us back last year. In terms of financial capital, this is no more a constraint with us. This is strict. Right? Girish has enough money to fund all of us for the next 2 years, even if we do zero business. In terms of human capital, do you have the right teams? Do you have teams who understand the business well? Do you have the teams who have the right of experience? I think yes. But then, this is not a constant. If this team does not learn new things, if this team doesn't invest in itself, the value of this team is going to go down. This team, in terms of its ability and knowledge, either has to move forward or has to move forward, upwards. Every single person. Trust me, this is important to realize for yourself. Today, nobody is going to give you a premium if they go and say that I am 20 years experience, but still know what I knew 20 years back. What do you say? Yes.
Absolutely.
So nobody is going to give you a premium based on that. If you do not know how the world behaves today, what are the challenges today? Nobody is going to hire an accountant if he doesn't understand GST. If you don't understand that, nobody is going to pick up people. So human capital, we have the right teams. The team has to actually keep on investing in itself and to ensure that you learn new things. You can talk about new structures. You can make a strong opinion about certain stuff. And you can hold your arguments when we talk about a particular stuff. That's the way you'll go forward and go upwards. But two things that we need to definitely work on is your social capital and your intangible capital. I'm not too sure whether we have enough of these two. Enough of our ability to work as teams. Right? So, what I mean by ability to work as teams, without me being a constraint at all. Right? I should be there. I have my role as CEO, and I will do that role as CEO. And for that I have got so many different functions to do. I'll do that function. Right? Our team members at various levels, and I don't mean only in this room. I mean people at various levels should be able to talk to each other and solve a problem. Get a problem solved out at their level. And only if it's not getting sorted out and you need somebody to interfere or an opinion or third, that's the time I would want to get into it. Not for routine purposes. Right? Every time you come back to me saying that, see Shantanu, this guy is not doing things. You know, he doesn't listen to me. It actually undervalues your leadership. It's your ability to get things done. That's your soft power. Right? Your own credibility. I think this is something that we'll have to build consciously in terms of our social capital within team members to be able to sort things out between ourselves and get things moving there. And our intangible capital, which is our brand value, the people, how people see us, and our competitive edge here. Because intangible capital and all of these, if we don't keep on working on it every day, continuously, keep moving forward, it will again depreciate. I and Yash keep talking multiple times that the technology platform that we are all so proud of all this while, if we hadn't been working every single day, look at it, say 6 months back, would have stopped development, we would have been a company not even worth talking about. Nobody would have spoken about our app at all if we are not moving forward all the time. And this is true for every single aspect. If your content is same all this while, your content, your style of delivering content, style of authoring your content, your languages, if you don't move forward, you'll definitely move downwards. So this is something we need to continuously work on in all of our areas. Right? And this is where leadership comes into play. And somebody told me once upon a time that leadership is actually a verb and not a noun. It doesn't sit on your designations. It doesn't matter what you're called. You're vice president or assistant vice president, manager, senior manager, executive. Leadership is what you do, how you do things, how you behave in a particular situation. And I'm proud to say that there are several leadership instances that I have personally witnessed in School Guru amongst a lot of people who do not hold a designation. I even don't even aware that what designation he holds. There are several instances where I've seen office boys showing a lot of leadership in what they do. So leadership is actually in what you do rather than what you're called. And that is going to become very, very critical in as how you treat your own department, your own team members, your own colleagues. And why I'm saying all of these is important to ensure that as we move forward, we are going to build all of these. And as you are aware that all of these are, this is upstream, this is downstream. If we have to ensure that we build a great social capital, which is our ability to work as teams, we'll have to ensure that we have shared values. If you do not have shared values, how do you work as teams? I may have a completely different perspective of stuff because of my value conditions. And you may have something else because of value conditions, right? So, your work culture, your values in the organization have to be similar at an organization level for us to be able to work as a successful team and build a great social capital. For example, I keep on talking about the fact that, and this is something that I borrowed from the team lead's philosophy, which is frugality of capital. Frugality of capital doesn't mean that you don't spend money. It only means that spend as much money as you need to spend. Do not overspend money today. Right? There are various ways we can overspend money if required. But the fact today is that you're aware that today money is life for all of us. Money is time. Why does companies in today's world die today? Is it murder? Is it old age or is it suicide? in today's world, don't sit silent, don't sit strong and silent. Please come out with your opinion. Why does company die today? If you look at a lot of startups dying today, right? With great ideas, great execution, बहुत कुछ किया, but still it died. Is it murder? It is old age or it's suicide?
Lack of customers.
Lack of customer means he didn't have a great business model, right? So it's the wrong business model, not being able to identify the right type of customers and got into the business. Most companies today die of suicide because they can't set their own strategies right. They can't change their strategies as time go by. And what are strategies? Your ability to create an unfair advantage for yourself. How do you think different from competition and create your own separate advantage? That's the way you will stand out. People who got their strategies wrong are the guys who committed suicide. People who didn't change, BlackBerry, who couldn't change with time, didn't understand the power of Android, actually committed what? Suicide. Yeah? Nobody came and murdered him. Neither did he die of old age. So companies need to understand that. If you don't get your strategies right, and how do you make strategies? Strategies are not something which is cast in stone. Strategies have to be fluid. You will have to keep on thinking, keep on looking at all your environment, how things are doing, how the competition is behaving, how the market is moving, how regulations is doing, and ensure that your strategies are aligned to ensure that you can protect your business model. So strategy is something which will give you are ways to create an unfair advantage for yourself. So strategies will evolve from the goals that you have. You set your goals, you figure out where you want to reach, and then you set your strategies, how you reach that. And last few weeks, actually almost the entire of the last quarter, we all have spent a lot in terms of thinking about strategies. Strategy in sales, strategy in SSO, strategy in technology, strategy in marketing, right? Strategies in BD. We are thinking about different ways, how we're going to approach stuff, how we're going to handle competition, how we're going to position stuff, what type of teams are we going to build, how do you build responsibilities, accountabilities, all of this put together. And that's one of it. But I think as we go forward, this is something that is fluid. This needs to keep on changing with time, and we need to be all aware, all ears for it. Right? For example, and what is important, I believe, is to always keep on challenging status quo. If you keep on accepting status quo, for example, the tea needs to get served in this cup only. Why? For example, Udit, we keep on discussing that a significant part of your sales is going to come from your call center. Correct? You have about 30-40% of your sales going to come from a call center. And if it is call center which is going to get 40% of a sale, so if I look at the critical success factors of this call center, what are? You need a continuous flow of leads, but you also need an ability to convert these leads.
Conversion is critical here.
This conversion is a factor of so many things. Your time to react, your ability to react, and your training of the sales team, your sensitivity in terms of the sales team's ability to do things. All of these and several of these are important, right? And we are trying to figure out how do we actually improve our productivity in this center and can bring it to the optimum. Average teams working at their peaks, right? And we figured out that there are several market models who have been doing this very, very well. Right? So for example, in our discussion, we keep on talking about, for example, is a make my trip call center working? We think that that's one good way of working things. We do believe that Policy Bazaar's call center works great in terms of aggression, in terms of time to react. If all of these are important and you think that those are critical for your call center to perform, why don't you go and hire somebody from there to head your call center overall? Right? Instead of we trying to learn it and create learning, create training, all of this put together, our strategy could be that I need somebody here at Mysore who has been doing this all the time, has built successful models and running it. I just need to replicate that type of structure and get somebody there. So you have to keep thinking about strategies to ensure that you de-risk each and every component of your businesses to ensure that we increase your chances of success. Right? And in sales and business development, what I mean sales ultimately is you can never underestimate the power of pipeline. Okay. All the sales managers that we are talking about and all this new dashboard that we are talking about. So there are two aspects of those dashboards. One is it's looking at your historical performance about how you did last week or the last month, but it's also talking about what I wanted to see is whether there is a sensitivity in people about are they building their pipelines. For example, if you if a particular sales manager is looking at a few thousand ELSP registrations, how will he do it? Has he created those colleges tie-up? Has he created them already? Right? If he's not created them already, does he have a list of colleges in their pipeline who needs to target? Has he thought about it? Has he looked at the market? Has he figured out which geographies to go to? Which district? Which town? Where will I get more colleges, more students? Have I started sending proposals there? If I sending proposals, have I signed colleges there? If I signed colleges there, have I planned out what type of activity will I do on the field to get students there? If I'm not thinking all of these, then I'm praying to the God. And from times immemorial, we know that God is not on the side of the biggest armies. It's on the side of the best shot. Depends on how you plan your shot. That's where God will go and help you. So if you have to do that, are people planning? If for example, if our sales team thinks that I need 60% or say 50% of my sales to come from partners, which all my partner managers are aware of it, am I creating, each sales manager needs to think at this unit level that am I creating the right type of partners? Do I have a pipeline of partners? Have I started thinking about it, or will I start thinking about it when the year has started? Right? So your ability to do things, plan, your strategizing, all of these things are depictive about your ability to deliver next year. If you do not showcase your strategies getting right, if your funnel shows 0 or your funnel doesn't show any increase, it just keeps on showing there, or if it shows there only to show me, then what will happen? That's called suicide. You are planning to die. It's a matter of time when Udit will get frustrated one upon a time and say that it's not working out for me. To ensure that those things do not happen, we need each one at our own level, because everybody is a leader. It's in your own mind. It's not about designations. So if you are a leader and you're leading your teams, you're leading your business in a particular geography, you have to think about your strategies well and ensure that you have created those pipelines, thinking about it. How will I do next month's target? How will I do the following month and third month and 4th month and 5th month? And hence it's important for each one of us to think about our strategies in our own respective areas. Don't leave things to chance. That will not work. Last about 3.5 years time, since the month of May 2015, when UGC brought out that article and said that online education is no more legal in this country, since that time, the market has changed, drastically changed. And some of you who were there with School Guru that time, or were at least working in the industry that time, and people who still survive today, you can yourself count on your fingers how many of your computers are alive. Correct? How many of your computers are alive? And if at all they are alive, where they were in 2015 and where they are today? And where was School Guru 2015 and where we are today? We definitely have a much bigger edge over our computers today. Right? This is a factor of so many things that we would have worked on. Our strategies, our soft power, for example, we do not do numbers year on year, right? But still, we had our investors funding us. We got delayed, but fund was not denied to us. Not a single month over the last 5.5 years did our salaries get delayed because of paucity of funds. So, people believed our story. People believed our narrative. People believed that our recipe is correct to be able to create the right type of an, dish for the market. People believe that we are working in the right market, and the team has the ability to do that. Certain things are holding back, and now that those things are no more holding us, it's important for us to be able to perform. And hence, when I talk about values and cultures, the culture of productivity, the culture of accountability, performance, can't be undermined anymore. Right. People are in today's culture, when you talk about a social capital where people at their own levels talk within themselves, take decisions under the values here, we will have to be accountable for your decisions. Okay? You take accountability of whatever decision it is you are taking. You will have to bring in our culture of performance. If you don't perform, we make losses. We make losses, we need more funds. We need more capital, puts more pressure back on us. It dilutes. It puts pressure of performance, pressure of credibility. All of these things starts getting questioned. But if you're doing things well, I think from here on, it's just an uptrend story for all of us. Right? So, does anybody have a question in terms of what type of culture do we need to work on in terms of while we build our own social capital, the culture of accountability, performance, things like frugality of capital, meritocracy? Do any of you have any question or any different opinion over this? And we can open it up to discussion at this point in time. All of you who are on the video, if you have a different opinion, please come up and we can debate this part.
Meritocracy might need some explanation.
Meritocracy, where people would be judged, valued based on the merit that they have. Their own performance, their own accountability, their productivity, all of these together will hold much more importance, or only the thing which will go to hold importance, not personal biases and preferences of people. Where people have an open culture of being able to air their differences. If you have an opinion, you have a difference of opinion, and you can hold that debate, it's better to speak out rather than holding it back and talking behind somebody's back. When you talk behind somebody's back, it actually undermines your soft power. When you talk in front of somebody and hold that debate, even if you have a disagreement with me, it's when you hold that, you are held with a lot of respect in the minds of other people who hear you talking in front of them, not talking behind the back. When you talk behind the back, you actually undermine yourself without realizing that the other guy who's listening patiently to you, in his mind, keeps thinking whatever third-class guy you are. Do any one of you have a different opinion on a culture of meritocracy, accountability, performance, frugality of capital, things which need to hold us, bind us, all put together?
Shatan, none of them are a non-compromisable factor. When none of them are a compromisable factor, they are fine. I come back to your 4 necessary recipes which you wrote, financial strength which we have. I see a huge gap in the human capital competencies inside the system for us to reach us from 4 crore to 20 crore. We'll not be able to discuss specific at this point of time, but if you do not address that issue, probably will fail miserably in achieving the cherished goal of growing to the league what we want to. And,
So each one of you may want to look at yourself as well as your team members in terms of the human capital. If Madhu has a reservation on this particular stuff, human capital in terms of the team that you have and the ability of the team to learn and the ability of team to perform.
No, it's not a question of learning. We do not have an opportunity to allow people to learn now and achieve 20 crores in next 12 months. We need to have people who are performing, who are capable of being a go-getter from day one, because you have spent 5.5 years on building this organization. We are not a training ground for somebody to achieve our 20 crores revenue. If we want to achieve 20 crores revenue, we need to have people who are capable of achieving, and I see strong inadequacies in several areas as we speak at this point of time. It would be very unfair for me to refer anybody or any team or any name at this point of time, but it is for us to do a clear due diligence in terms of having a right set of human capital inside the organization so that it enables us to reach that goal.
Yeah. So each one of you look at that in terms of where you are lacking, where your team needs to get more resources or right type of resources, a replacement of resources, augmentation of resources, and come back with your own strategies, your plan to ensure that. And between each other, it's important for all of you guys to talk openly, give feedback with a constructive set of. The idea is, when you're looking at building social capital, the idea is to ensure that we help each other become stronger as individuals, as teams, as a performing organization. So if all of you notice those type of weaknesses in something, feel free to talk to each other, go back, discuss that out, and figure out if the other guys have thought about it, has missed that out, or has got a strategy in place to address that. That will, I think, make it stronger for all of us. Only no one person can help in this particular stuff. I think all of us need to ensure that we talk to each other, figure that out, and give feedback to be able to build a stronger organization from within.
Can we speak a little louder?
Actually, it was the mother said.
I think Shantanu has to tell what he has said.
So Bipendra, Madhu said that he believes that there are several pockets of the organization where the team needs to get stronger and better, and they lack certain competencies, abilities, and we may not have enough time to train our existing people, and may not want to become only a training organization, but may need to hire more competent, more performing people. That's what he believes. So to which my suggestion is that if you are, or any one of us are noticing those deficiencies, those pockets of inefficiencies or pockets of improvement, possible improvement, please go ahead and talk to each other, talk to respective people, and argue that out, debate that out, provide feedback, and help those guys identify in case something has. So you'll be able to hear out. For example, if you believe that something is missing out, this team, and if you discuss with him, you will figure out either he has actually missed that out, so he'll actually feel thankful to you for pointing that, or has he actually figured that out and already thinking about it, or already got a strategy in place. It may be possible that he has a strategy in place, only thing I'm not aware of it. It's possible. It's something that we'll come to know only if we go and talk to him. So while we build social capital is our ability to work as teams, and that will happen only when we talk with lot of frankness, openness between team members, in a environment of trust where my advice or suggestion is not going to get treated otherwise. I have no vested interest in that particular space, right? And that's where when your soft power is going to come into place, where how you communicate stuff to people, what is your niche? Is to point out things and point fingers, or is my effort is to figure out something which you might have missed, and I have a suggestion. I want to pick this out, right? So that's where we are discussing that. Wherever we believe that our respective teams or somebody else, please talk to each other to find that out and help that other leader or other head of the organization or the department to become stronger. So as we talk about that, and coming from what Madhu pointed out, Amita, was it time?
11.
What time does Yash start?
12.
So let's figure out, as we go into the new year, new financial year, what are the characteristic features of a great company? From where we'll discuss what are the characteristic features of a great team. And from there on, what are the characteristic features of a great leader? Can I keep on hearing your suggestions? What do you think, in your opinion, the characteristics of a great company?
Innovation.
What do they have?
Innovation.
Okay, one by one, I'll keep writing them. So, Shaji, you said it's innovation. Okay, go ahead.
Customer focus.
Transparency.
Great company from whose perspective, Shantanu? From an investor's perspective, from an employee perspective, from the owner's perspective? We need to be clear. It's a very open-ended thing.
Yes, it's an open-ended thing, but a great company is a great company in my opinion. So, you think about anybody's perspective and you can make some answers based on anybody's perspective. Say that from a perspective of an investor, this is what I believe. Transparency, radical transparency. Somebody said one more thing I missed out. Yes, did you say something else?
Customer focused.
Customer focus. If somebody is typing there, Amitabh, just keep note of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Are you hearing anything of it? What are the traits of a great company? We see so many great companies across the world, right?
Leadership.
What is it?
The leaders, basically.
Okay, I'm writing it off. Not sure what it means, but I'll write it down. Go ahead.
Employee focus or employee relationship.
Okay, so let me pick it here. So it's an internal customer focus or an external customer focus.
Quality service.
A profitable company with happy customer and happy employees and happy investors.
Is this a trait of a great company or result of a great company?
No, it is a combination of all those things. It's interlinked. It's
So so the way I believe that this is the end result of a great company. If you are a great company, if these are things that will happen to you, you will become profitable. It's an end rather than a means. You will be profitable. You will have happy customers. You will have happy shareholders, happy employees.
Not necessarily.
Not
One can be a
necessarily.
very happy, very profitable company
Right.
with very poor esteem in the employees, and the customers do not have but an obligation to buy those products.
True.
Pardon, got it. I missed that.
A company could be very profitable but with very unhappy employees and also unhappy customers with poor service, but they are left with no other option but to buy that.
What I'm saying is, if you are a great company, these things will happen.
So I'm saying profitability necessarily doesn't mean a great company.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But a great company means profitability. That's what I'm saying. If you're a great company and you're a great company there, you'll become profitable, you will have happy customers, and you'll have happy employees, you'll have happy shareholders. If you are a great company, not because they're profitable. If you are a great company, these things will happen. But what makes you a great company is something that also we just wanted to write this on.
And Walmart is one of the greatest companies of this world, but they may not be profitable. It's a very open-ended issue, Shantanu, to debate it out.
Yeah, absolutely, it's open-ended. There's no definitive answer there.
But
But
how do we relate this to our situation?
come back.
Abhita, can you check the chats? We have many questions we have raised into
No,
the
we
chats.
cannot
Nothing is
Please
coming.
take.
Said, we cannot see those here. You have certain points. You
He
can
said
see.
experienced team. Did he say
That
that?
is earlier.
Earlier question.
We haven't.
Just say hi, Amita. So I say hi. So are you? Is your chat coming?
coming.
They are net connected.
Net.
Net is there, no? That is why Sir's video is going live, no? Yeah, now we are getting see. Yes, we can see.
Can you get somebody who can see the chat? Read it out. One of you.
We read great
Can you see?
company. Yes, okay, now we've got.
So somebody wrote. The Said wrote growth. growth mentality. Okay, what did somebody write?
We have, after this, Pranjal is saying that with the changing business model in the last 3 years, will there be and set parameters to evaluate? That's on the KRA given in the last 3 years. He has a question there.
Okay, so this is not related to the question now. We'll
Yes,
come,
so
to
we'll
that.
come
Come back to that.
Great company, employee caring.
Yes, we wrote that.
Great company offering relevant products.
Okay, I think that's given. Without that, you can't even make a great company.
Continuous learning.
Okay, you're saying a learning.
That's innovation.
Innovation.
Okay.
Then
Learning culture and innovation may be written differently as well.
Without learning, you can't innovate. And if you just learn, but don't
Culture of
innovate,
learning
then you
across
lose this.
organization. Okay.
Then we have a great company, predefined growth path for employees, the same point.
Growth path for
Competitive
employees.
business model. Great company should invest to train and coach their employee.
Okay. So employee focus. A great governance.
Yes.
Governance structure. Okay.
Brand recognition or brand value.
Brand.
Recognition.
Teamwork.
Teamwork.
Things that go on to build a great company. Things that go on to build a great company. What all things that go on to build a great team?
So we could also have goals and strategies there, no, as a part.
A great company is built on great strategies. Okay. Great team.
Inspiring team leader, team spirit.
Communication.
You said team spirit. What does it mean?
Cooperation, essentially.
Somebody said open communication.
Great team, positive mindset.
Inspiring leadership.
What do you mean by the inspiring leadership? And where we discussed that leadership is not on the designation,
Soft part.
but it's depends on what you do. So, are you saying the head of the department being inspiring?
Both ways. Head should also, head of the team. That
What makes a great team which can work together? Somebody said open communication
Open
for all that.
communication.
Initiatives. Taking initiative. I mean,
Okay.
initiatives taken by the team members.
Working towards
Initiative. We're saying about your ability to take risks as a team.
Yeah.
Aligned goals.
Great teams, team should be passionate towards
Aligned goals. And goals are downstream from the mission of the company.
Yeah.
passionate towards
Passion
towards their
to perform.
Working towards common goals.
Service mindset. Every team ultimately has one purpose, to serve, some of the other, fulfill some of the other function.
Aligned goals.
Accountability and responsibility. Accountability and
Okay,
responsibility.
a culture of accountability.
Together, everyone achieving more.
Performance. And what makes a great leader?
Who walks his talk?
Listener, a good listener.
Who walks his talk?
Walks the talk. Does what he talks. He not only preaches but also performs. Right. Somebody said something I missed out.
Great listener for the leader.
Okay. Listener.
And
I could see somebody here.
Yeah, here they are saying.
What is Selby right?
First, before that, it's working towards common goal. That's a great team.
Huh?
Great team should be self-motivated. And regular discussions and sharing feedback.
Open to ideas.
Motivated, and you said sharing feedback. Okay.
Yes. Great leader give a free hand to his subordinate.
Motivator.
So you're talking about delegation.
Yes.
Okay.
Good leaders.
He is a motivator. Okay.
Good leader who is committed and create more leaders.
There are some people who do not have an opinion, just
Focus.
are sitting there strong and silent. मैं जानता हूँ नहीं बोलूँगा नहीं.
Focused.
Focused. Yeah.
And stand in front of any situation.
Pardon?
Facing challenges.
Facing challenges.
Resilience. Ability to fight it out. Yeah.
Great leader and great team must have commitment.
No, you have missed the upper one. That's a good point. Great leader creates more leaders.
Yes. That.
Empowers, essentially.
Okay. Empowering is a better word.
Who has a plan B in place?
No, not empowering. I think this means in terms of the
Motivating only, na? That would be a part.
not motivation.
No,
In terms
motivating
of
is,
your qualifications, not the theoretical qualifications, but your aptitude.
किसकी
Pardon?
बात कर रहे हो?
Which one?
यही कि good
एकदम
leader.
ऊपर, एकदम ऊपर.
Good leader is who creates other leaders.
So that's empowering.
No, not in terms of power.
Great leaders
Power
who is
concept.
committed and create more leaders.
We wrote that empowerment.
That's independent.
Great leaders should
Don't have
force.
bilateral discussion. Just discussion.
Great leaders should force his idea or experience.
Should force.
Should force. He cannot force.
Should force or should not force?
Should force
Should
his
force
idea
it.
experience.
Should not. Should not. So it is writing down.
Should not. So we're saying that somebody who believes in delegation, we
Yes.
wrote that. Decision, listening to market feedback and advise solutions.
Knowledge sharing.
Advise solutions. Strategist. Okay.
Knowledge sharing.
Okay. Knowledge sharing. Do you think street credibility is important? People in today's world needs to be street smart.
Great leader lead from the front. Great leader time management.
Leading from the front.
Yes.
Time management is not legal job, that's a manager.
We can have one day session on great leadership qualities.
Okay.
Good understanding of company goals and team members. Motivate team and guide towards success. I think we've covered.
Leaders are classified like this. A great leader inspires. A good leader explains. An average leader leads. A poor leader complains. Shantanu, you have to excuse me and Sarika for 5 minutes. Or something like that.
So now, think about where the gaps are.
Nobody knows. I do the chair.
Think about where the gaps are. If we need to build a great company, which will definitely be made by great teams, and if you are one of those great leaders who want to be in times to come, it's not a factor of designations. It's what you do. Do your own gap analysis and figure out where you're missing. And it's important for all of us to keep working on it to ensure that our teams actually respect us as great leaders. As we go forward into the new year,
There's a Vipendra's thing. Shall I read it?
yeah,
Ability to keep the team happy and motivated. Someone who's there to remove the roadblocks hampering team's ability to perform. And great leaders do not bypass people above or below.
Again, delegation.
so we're talking about delegation here. We talk about being able to
Motivation.
strategize. Remove roadblocks or hampering.
Team's ability to perform.
Okay, people are facilitators. Facilitators and are also resourceful. To be able to mobilize resources when the teams need them. Right? Yeah, good ideas. So, if you look at all of us now, as we go into the new year, it's going to be a different year for all of us. And evidently, our culture of working is also going to be different from what we have been working the last year. Because if we continue working the way we worked last year, results are not going to be very, very different now. So if we have to work as a great team, we will have to keep these things in mind to be able to ensure that, and teams within departments and team across departments, we are all like team members, and hence we'll have to have open communication between all of us. If you believe that something is missing out, or Udit really believes that something is missing out at HR, the idea is not to criticize. The idea is to help people fill up those gaps and, talk openly about it, give positive feedback, and help the other person improve. That's the way we'll do that, right? So we need to have aligned goals. The goals are also being set up now in the organization. So as you must have read my mail, we're saying that by 31st of this March, we need to ensure that our KRAs, our goals, all of these are set. And it's important. It's important because you have to realize that if a team is going into a new year on 1st of April, which is starting next week, they need to be on first day, they need to be clear about what goals they have to perform. You can't give them the goals at the end of April and tell them that for the entire month of April, you are supposed to perform. Before they go into the new year, they must be clear about the goals, what you're expecting from them to perform. Right? They need to be clear about their structures, who will do what type of responsibilities, what type of accountability, what type of delegation has been given into minor. And this is something which is important for all of us to be, going into the new year. And hence, those goal setting is important. Right? Passion to perform. There would be issues, there would be challenges, but it is important to ensure that we have that resilience in us to be able to fight out the problem. Think as teams, come back in case you still need ideas and where you think that team is lacking. Discuss between yourselves, there's enough experience. But it's important that you cannot rely solely on experience anymore. It's mind over muscles. The years of experience will not do, it's not the only thing which will help you. And it's not only hard work which will help you. Hard work is a necessary but not a sufficient condition in today's days. It needs to be smart working. It needs to keep on thinking about new ways of doing things. New ways of doing leadership, showing leadership. Don't get too touchy about a position or a designation or this particular part. मेरे को नहीं करना है, वो देखो नहीं करता है, वो बात नहीं सुनता है. By complaining, by talking like that negatively, you will only reduce your soft power. The way you can walk into the person, not talk behind his back, talk openly, constructively, with a positive intention, I think will make a great day. And if we have to build that great social capital that we're talking about, it's important for us to realize that this is important. Not that we'll not make mistakes. Not that we'll not make mistakes. We may make mistakes, but it's just be open, ensure that if he created a mistake, I should be able to go and tell him that. If he's willing to learn from it, we should be fine with it. And if you set goals with a growth-oriented mindset, somebody talked about, right? Growth mentality. You are putting targets where we can be, not where we are. So we're not putting very comfortable targets for each one of us. We want to say that there is an opportunity here. We have the great type of resources, great type of capital to be able to harness that goal. We have set up a goal like that. We have those whatever physical capital is required for us, financial capital, human capital. If you don't have any, you have set your own budgets already. You have the rights to go ahead and hire those resources if you need to. Right? Build a culture of performance. Have transparent communication with radical transparency. A learning culture in the organization. If you have to build your leadership, if you have to build your soft power, you should be able to stand up to an opinion. You should be willing to learn. You should be willing to read a lot, do research, understand new things, new technology, how it's used, and have a strong opinion on this part. That if you start writing, I think you'll build that soft power. I've seen this so many of industry leaders who do this so well, and Manish, who's the chairman of team leaders, does this fantastically well. Right? The guy would be hardly 3-4 years older to me, but look at what he does. Right? So he sits on the board of the RBI, Reserve Bank of India, one of the youngest board of directors there. So where people are willing to listen to his inputs on monetary policy and fiscal policy of the country. He doesn't have a commerce or finance background. So he sits on CABE, which is the governing body sitting above UGC, which advises the government of India about education policies. So that's where people would have invested in building their soft power over years. When you start talking about opinion, you can hold your opinion, read a lot, you understand different stuff, and you can synthesize all of these and articulate. I think you build your soft power. And it's an investment in yourself. And I can bet on the fact that even if you start late, this is one thing that you'll never repent in your life, if you start building your soft power. And there's no compromise but reading and reading. You have to read a lot to be able to talk and to be able to hold an argument today's date. Because otherwise there are younger guys who are coming out lesser experience, but they know things which are contextual in today's day, and our knowledge could be just aged. That's it. If you become dated, you have lost it. So if we have to build school group, you need to figure out within your teams, within you as a leader, within we as a leader, what are the gap points? And we need to just work on it. The culture of accountability, culture of performance, culture of productivity, and culture of frugality of capital is something that will keep on driving us. We need to ensure that we don't lose money. We don't waste money. We don't spend 2 rupees where one can 2. Right? Doesn't mean that we'll not spend money. I'm not saying that just save the money in the bank. It's just to ensure that we use it properly, to ensure that we don't run short of capital. The company will keep on moving forward, both organically as well as inorganically. We are actively looking at strong acquisitions for ourselves. If we find a great company which we believe is aligned to what we want to do in times to come, we are open and looking actively for acquisitions. So in case some of you come across some companies which you believe is something can bolster our growth few times, if we actually need to acquire them, we should be talking. And we are talking to them already. The last about a quarter, I would have evaluated already 4 companies. Unfortunately, we have not found anybody worth acquiring. But then, if we are looking at and open to acquisitions, and will not have paucity of capital if you want to do that. Right? So as we go forward in the new year, the mindset, the culture, the outlook, all of these needs to get aligned for all of us. Right? So that's what. If we do all of these together, we'll have a company which will become profitable. We'll have happy customers. We'll have happy employees. We'll have happy shareholders. And if you don't do that, none of these guys will be happy. We can't compromise on customers evidently, because we all understand that customers pay our salary, shareholders don't. Employees who build those great teams who keeps our customers happy. Shareholders who will definitely will keep on funding us in times to come if we need to. So as we go forward, I think we need to ensure that as a mindset, all of us are thinking on the same lines to be able to build a great company from here on. If there are great suggestions now, we can take it up. Why it's important for all of us to keep thinking on the same thing, and because see, all of us are handling teams. Right? We have large teams to handle, and whatever we discuss here is going to have a large impact on your strategies and large impact on the field when we start executing, taking decisions. Right? As somebody really said that an inch in the map is equal to 1,000 miles on the ground. So every small step that we take here, small decision that we make here, is going to have a large impact when you make your decisions, drive your teams, communicate the team members. Right? So, any teams, all the team members who haven't set up your goals, please do that. Ensure that you invest that much of time to ensure that all your team members have got clear, measurable, objective goals which are provided, which are discussed with them. There is a consensus between what they can do, and the goals needs to be looked at not from what he was doing last year, but where he can be in the next year. in case you have a great opportunity. For example, we never had Bihar as a state. We never had that. Now we have a great university working there with a great team helping us in terms of grow that business there. A great contract that our business development team has signed. With all these things coming up, we need to think about where we can be in the next year in terms of that particular state, which may mean a jump from zero to something else. But that's the potential. Where are you considering? You just need, you have got a great potential, you just need the right team, the right financial muscles, and that's what you can do it. So goals need to get set up with all of you. We'll very, very soon come up with our rewards and recognition policies, which where the variables, incentives, all of these are going to be a part of this. And we also, so Farin has got a presentation today about we need to start off our appraisal system, annual appraisal system, and also build up our next year's compensation policies. And that's something which will get announced very soon, right? So what you'll see is that the compensation structures that will come up now in the next following years will be slightly different from what it was last year. But ensuring that we keep up to the spirit of what we're discussing today, each one of us will have our fixed pays, and I can bet that will be fair. There's no cutting down. People will get raises, they will get increments. That's fair to them, fair to their past performance. There will be a huge upside for people who will stand up to this culture of performance and accountability. People who will perform. So, incentive structure or variable pay structure, which is quite generous, is getting worked out, and we should be able to roll it out very, very soon. Right? And we can be sure that whereas the fixed pay structure is going to be fair, the variable pay structure is going to be very, very generous. And however, as an organization, we'll look at individual performances and track records, your ability, your resilience, all of these things while we work out your next year's fixed pay, variable pay, and all this. So it will go through a particular timeline. Farin has got a presentation. She will present to all of us in terms of the timelines that we have set for ourselves. Just requesting all of you to ensure that help us meet those deadlines. Right? It's on each one of you hand to ensure that those deadlines are met. And if you all believe that those deadlines are too aggressive and can't be done, we need a discussion today to ensure that we set realistic timelines. That's it. On which all of us stand that, yes, we'll ensure that those things are there and all our team members gets those, clarity in terms of their goals, their compensation, all of these on time. This year, first time, will not link your next year's KRA to your appraisals getting over. Okay. So next year's goals need to get rolled out by 31st of March to everybody. Your appraisals will get over by end of April. Your new compensations will come by end of April, which will get applied from 1st of April though. But your goals needs to get much earlier before 31st of March. Team needs to get clear about where they are headed to starting 1st of April. So there's no difference. Right? Bringing up this culture of transparency, you'll figure out that there will be a great governance model, which is important because you can't have delegation if you don't have a governance model. You can't give rights to somebody without giving them those accountability matrices. You can't give a knife to somebody without telling him where this knife can be used and where it can't be used. Right? Otherwise, you'll have all this problem that the US is having. So you need to ensure that your delegation will come with right of a governance model. So it will come in phases. We are working together. Most of you will be working together. Girish is working a lot to ensure that those governance models are created, those audit checks are created to ensure that delegations can happen. Otherwise, it will lead to disaster if you have given somebody the arm and not told him how to use it. Then there will be issues. There will be radical transparency stuff where you will see dashboards which will get created to showcase, to demonstrate, to earmark people who are performing or not. We will move towards a situation where most of these things could be automated, but we understand that this automation cannot happen overnight. So but this system has to come up in terms of spirit by 1st of April at least. So some of these reports, some of these dashboards will have to be made manually till the time we move to a automated system. Right? So it will have to be open to those staff being, being able to share information about how your team is performing and share it transparently. Right? So that's what I had to communicate today in terms of as we go forward next year, a great opportunity. I think we have the right ingredients. We need to make sure that the recipe is being built up with the right type of social capital, working as teams put together, an ability to work as teams, sorting out our own problems, talking radically, truthfulness, transparency, and the face of each other rather than talking behind your backs. You're setting up a great governance systems to ensure that you can build delegations to team members is something which will lead us to a great success model next year, right? So, any other question from the teams which are remote? Are we missing out anything on the chat? The last that we are seeing is so Vipendra, Saeed and Pranjal. So last line that we are seeing on the chat is okay. You okay? Are you guys seeing the same thing, or have somebody typed something and we are not seeing it here?
We have typed okay.
We have typed.
Yes, we have typed okay, but is that the last line? They are also seeing it. Okay, so in case there are questions there from people who have joined us from remote places, please switch on your microphones, unmute yourself, and you can talk it out. Yeah, yes, you have something to say? No.
I need 10 minutes to just communicate something important to you.
What come? And then it's your time. Stop. Yep. Any question from anybody? I know Prabhakaran has just joined in, so his microphone is not muted. Yeah. Anybody has a question? Vipendra, you want to add anything from there?
It's the same Ravindra is saying.
Okay. Is Vipendra there?
Yes.
Can you see him?
That's it.
Can you unmute him?
Yeah.
Vipendra, would you want to add anything there?
Where is he not getting unmuted?
Okay, he will have to unmute himself.
He
I think.
can unmute himself.
He can unmute himself. Okay. Vipendra, can you unmute yourself? Maybe his bandwidth is a challenge. His bandwidth is a challenge. Okay, so if there are no more questions and
Vipendra joined.
okay. Vipendra, would you want to add anything?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Vipendra, we can't hear you. So what you can do is you can switch off your video. There's a button there at the bottom of your screen. You can switch off the video so that your voice is clear. Yeah, you can talk. You can switch off your video.
Switch off.
But we can still see you. नीचे देखिए कैमरा जैसा बटन है, उसको आप एक बार प्रेस करेंगे तो वीडियो बंद हो जाएगा. Can you switch off his video from remotely?
It's only giving you the mute part.
नहीं?
It's there. Video is there.
यहाँ नीचे यहाँ ये दे
No,
रहा
no,
है.
no.
ये
This is
दे
our video.
This
This
is
is
our
our video.
Okay.
Here it should give me a list down here.
Okay, Vipendra, you can talk. We will hear you even if your video is not going off. Yeah.
Not opening.
Okay, so good presentation, Chandru. I think a lot of things going to help a lot of our team members. There's one thing that I wanted to say is that the communication is very, very important. This is between the top and rest of the team or rest of the team, who the toppers. There is a way to communicate when you want to convey anything. And people also need to take a little lesson about, when the people want to convey anything, they have to convey in a manner which is swift, which is quick, and which is also understandable. I have a lot of time accounting managers, they are bypassed. I think we need to stop this culture. The culture is a top-down approach. It starts with me. It starts with everyone. So we need to look at the people below us, make their lives easy, and also, as I said, the leader is someone who removes the bottlenecks in the way of team's performance. I think that is what my one weight is there. Rest everything is fine. I don't think that there are major selected. As far as the art team is concerned, our team is fairly well knit, well put together team, and it's performing decently. There is always a room for improvement, whether it is individual or a team. I'm sure at individual level everybody is working hard. At teams level, we need to just improve our communication. That's it.
Thank you so much. Well said. Anybody wants to add anything before we go on to a session by Yash?
I think if anybody has any problems or any queries, they can come back to us later.
Sure.
Let's
So
continue
if
with
anybody has more queries, please do write into our common email ID. We have revenue leaders, which goes to each one of us, right? So you can possibly write it down. We can discuss. We can figure out a solution in case it can't be solved out at the respective levels, right? So now, Yash, we'll go to your presentation on where is the PPT?
It's in the desktop.
In my
Desktop, yeah.
okay. So what you will do is you say so there is a presentation by Yash on a few matters that he thinks are concerning and he needs to address them. So you can what you do is you say present now, that button there, right side, yes, and your entire screen, yes, and now okay, press share, and now you minimize that full thing, green, yes, minimize this, और अभी ये orange वाले को दबाइए, minimize. Now open that desktop. Open कीजिए. Good.
डबल क्लिक
Yeah.
ये सिंगल हो गया.
आ रहा है. Okay. Green वाला. नीचे, एकदम नीचे है. Yeah. Can everyone see my screen?
Now how do we go back there?
No. I mean, Bipen, can you see our screen?
कुछ pop-up आया है there.
क्या है?
In the chat screen,
Yes, someone has said. Chat.
So,
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
We can. Okay.
Okay, so yes, you can continue.
All right.
You can come to say Yash.
Yeah. Thank you, Shantanu. All right, everybody. Are you all able to hear me?
Yes, we are all able to hear you.
Of course.
They can't talk, they are all on the mute.
Okay. All right. So, now I have a quick presentation about how exactly we are going to implement ISO 27001 2013. So,